Hey kids, this is Mrs. Gardner, and I'm going to show you how to build an ocarina out of clay and kind of put the whistle mechanism into it and make it play a sound. And let's see, this is really a lot of clay. I really don't need this much. So I'm going to tear some off, kind of save some back, working over a little board, a little over newspaper, and I'm going to kind of just shape this into a nice soft round ball. Okay, and I'm going to make a thumb pot, or you can call it a pinch pot. I just kind of held the ball into my palm of my hand, and I took my thumb and I pressed down. Almost feels like I'm going to pop out the bottom, but don't. And then I'm going to give it a little turn, squeeze, give another little turn, squeeze. And the shape of the curve of my thumb is going to shape the inside vessel. It's going to shape that big chamber on the inside of my pinch pot. I'll go a little faster, but I'm just kind of turning and pressing. I'm trying to get that nice curve. It's really just like a bowl. That's why they call it pinch pots. Now, I'm already about halfway up the side of my ocarina, which is like a globular flute. Not a long one that a transverse flute, but a type that's more like a sweet potato shape. Okay, so it looks like a bowl right now. Thickness is about the thickness of my finger, which is good. And long nails do not help this. Sometimes you want to trim your nails or you get little fingernail marks. Now, the movement's a little bit like this. I'm actually kind of pushing my thumb down as I'm pulling my fingers up. You probably can't see that, but it's kind of helping pull the clay up into the wall. All right, and now I'm still doing that. I'm kind of working up the wall. Now, if I run out of clay, it's not a huge deal. Many people just take a little tiny slab or pancake of clay and they slap it on top of the hole that's left and seal it in. I'm going to see if I can get mine to come all the way up. But if I don't, it's okay. Now, at some point, I kind of switch and I do this, where I'm kind of gathering the clay, pushing it into itself, and kind of scrunching it. I call it scrunching, not a real necessarily a vocabulary term or anything, but it works. It's kind of like collaring the clay, you could say, which is a term. Now, I'm kind of coaxing the clay in to close up the hole. And again, if I don't, it's real common to run out of clay. But you see the movement of my thumb kind of coaxing the clay up. My finger is about the only thing I can fit inside of there right now. So I'm supporting the inside of the wall. Whenever you're working with clay, you're not just working on one side. You're supporting the opposite side of where you're working so it doesn't collapse the clay. So far I have this. There's my phone. And I'm going to kiss it closed, which is still soft enough I can do this. But if not, here, let me show you in case you run out of clay. See this? Roll it, press it, get a little bit of what do you call it, like a little patty, or technically a slab. And I could even slip and score a little bit, rough it up, a little bit of slip, put it over here, tap it on, and that would be fine. But I'm going to go ahead and close mine up. There we go. Kiss it closed is what I call it. All right, there we go. We have a hollow chamber inside of there, which will be the sound chamber. There we go. Doesn't matter which way I turn it now. I could even shape it a little bit while it's got that nice air support inside of there. All right, next I'm going to form kind of like a nozzle. It'll look like a nose, but really it's the mouthpiece. I could coax it from anywhere I think I have enough thickness of the clay to kind of get away with doing that. Nothing says I can't add a piece like this. Just kind of, get it on there, shape it, boom, and weld it on, kind of meld it on. That would work. Many people do that. But I'm going to coax it out of what I already have. All right. I'm also going to give it a little bit of a flat top right here. I can do that. Got it. Okay, so it's has this flat ceiling to it, and it kind of rounds around. Let me show you something before I move on. Most of you haven't seen this yet. I have it posted up in the classroom, but this is a laminated sheet so we can wipe clay off of it, clean it up if we need to. It shows you how you can take 2 pinch pots and put them together. I've never done it that way. I've always just made it from one. But lots of ways work. It's not just one way. And it also has a diagram about how to use the popsicle stick for the air chamber, that you blow through, how to use the pencil tool to kind of make the sound hole and such. And here's my favorite diagram that shows you where I am right now. Let's see. Like flat top right there, and then the chamber below, kind of like a, I don't know, traditional whistle, perhaps. And it shows you some other ones. I just put these images together onto one. Thought it'd be helpful. You have them at your tables. You've probably already seen, or you should have already seen, the Clay Ocarina Project's goals checklist. And then on the back, you would have had, we've already looked at some of the images of possible ideas, which are pretty cool and varied. Just want to flash those at you. I'm pretty much doing this one. Plain old simple. There you go. Nothing fancy to it, but you can make yours into creatures and things. Next up is I'm going to take a tool such as this, like actually a pencil would even work. I just sharpened a dowel rod. And I'm going to put it in so that it is kind of perpendicular to the flat ceiling and kind of parallel to the wall right here. So I'm going to punch it down in there, right next to that mouthpiece, really. So it's not really in the middle, it's more pushed over by the wall. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and rattle it around a little bit, open it up some, just so it's big enough to get my finger in there, because my finger is going to be a tool. Okay, and here's why I want my finger in there, because I'm going to actually pull the ceiling. Let's see if I can show it properly. Pull the ceiling up a little bit so it's out of the way. Okay, I know it looks a little bit odd. It's out of the way, though. You can see inside the chamber. Here's the mouthpiece. Next step is the air pathway I'm going to blow through for the whistle mechanism is going to be really the popsicle stick. It's the negative space that the popsicle stick is going to make. So imagine where that ceiling was before I popped it up. That's where I'm going with this. It's going to be parallel to that. Oh, I like to put my finger behind here just to kind of catch that stick. I feel the pressure. I kind of clean it up a little bit so I don't get a big old jagged pop through kind of thing. Now it's going underneath. It's going to rest. Now the typical problem is people point it down. Do not point it down into the chamber. Let it fall right underneath this ceiling. And then I hold it there while I coax the clay down like a ski slope onto that popsicle stick, still leaving a hole, but you can see the popsicle stick. I think it's an awful lot of big gap on both sides where I can lose air too much, so I'm going to kind of coax it in a little bit, and I'm going to clean that wall up a little bit. So there are little tricks like that I can show you in class to make it work. But there's like a little, what do you call it, like a beveled edge that goes down sharp onto the stick, so that when I pull the stick out, which I will do right now, pulling it out nice and straight, you can kind of see there's a little bit of leftover clay, but probably that won't matter. Now this kind of bugs me, that little tiny piece right there. Okay, it's gone. But there's a sharp edge that is right across from the air channel. So the idea is that you blow through the hole and the air splits across that sharp edge and makes a sound. So let's see if I can make it work. Pretty good, little airy. Okay, I can look through it, and if I can see the sharp edge, like daytime on top, nighttime below, kind of dark, then that probably means it's in a pretty good spot. But that's all adjustable. And the last thing I'll show you, and I forgot to bring it over here, I usually have a straw. I don't know if I can find a straw real quick here. But I typically, oops, I think I found one. I typically use an old straw. I need to knock the clay out of this straw. You just kind of roll it around. Usually it comes out. It's probably not going to cooperate today. Oh, got it. Okay. There's different size straws, of course, but let's just say this is kind of comfortable where I want to put my fingers. I'll just put, not too close to the sound hole. I'll put one here, and I'll try to knock that clay down. Sometimes the clay likes to come back up and stick. See if I can get a real hole there. I think I see it. Okay. I could, of course, put another one, but let's see. Oops, losing it there. See how I just barely pushed on that to lower the bevel, and all of a sudden it sounded better. So positioning is just like with a metal or a plastic or clay whistle, it's just about the mechanism where all the little parts are. You can make it out of wood, whatever. I mean, it'd be hard to make it out of wood, but out of clay I think is pretty easy. Now, I could put legs on this. I could make it into a bird. It could be sitting like this. I mean, there's all kinds of ways you could transform this, which most of you will, okay? But you could have a plain one. You can make them itty-bitty, make it sound like a tweet. You can make them really big with a large chamber. Sounds like a big old bellowing sound. But that's basically how you do it. Oh, the last thing I'm going to show you for this video would be, let me get all this out of the way. I have a few ocarinas. 2 of them were made by students long ago, years and years ago. One of them's from a really talented artist from long ago I used to work with named Wayne Ferguson. Anyway, I bought this from him for one of his shows. I love it. This one is kind of like a fish that is swallowing a skull. Really crazy. He made that. He used to make stamps and like himself and then reuse them, but there's the fish. And then this one is a student one that is a frog. It's a sculpture, yet it is also an ocarina. There are the notes that make it an ocarina. Here's the whistle mechanism. There's a sound hole. Here's where you blow through, air channel. And here's one that from long ago it's an elephant. So we have a fish with a skull, we have a frog, and we have an elephant. This one, of course, was more challenging with adding the legs, but this is the belly inside's hollow. That's the air chamber. There's the mouthpiece. There's the sound hole, and I guess that one's like a little note. So I'm not sure. I haven't played these for a long time. Ooh, that's a big old tweet. So it's not the belly, it's the head. I can tell because it's a high pitch, it's a smaller chamber. And here's the frog. Okay, but there he is, all cute, and when he's not being played, he just sits there. Okay, see you later, guys.